Good afternoon, my dear participants. My name is Babji. I am Senior Academic Counselor with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. I am teaching public relations since 1989. Now, we are going to discuss public relations in BA third year, semester 5. Public relations is course 5. In this course, we have 12 lessons put into 5 blocks, and we have 5 or 6 lecture sessions from today onwards every Sunday. Today, let us try to discuss units number 1 and 2, that is lessons 1 and 2 in block 1. And in the next Sunday or the Sundays thereafter, we will try to finish 2 lessons each and complete all the 5 blocks. Now, if you look at the epigraph of the Open University, they have quoted Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. It is like this: we may forego material benefits of civilization, but we cannot forego our right and opportunity to reap the benefits of the highest education to the fullest extent, as the education is the greatest material benefit. A greatest material benefit, it is not a spiritual benefit. So we may forego the benefits of civilization, but we cannot forego our right and opportunity to reap the benefits of the highest education. Therefore, the university has been established in an open system. In conventional education universities, the education is available only for the students that come from the high school to the +2 and graduate and post-graduation. But Open University throws an opportunity so that people of any age can learn things by joining the university in appropriate courses. And I think you are aware that this Open University, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, earlier it was AP Open University. This is older than Indira Gandhi National Open University. That is the status of this university. This is the biggest university and older than Indira Gandhi National Open University. Let us come to the lessons, the contents. Block 1 is about basics of public relations. In this block, there are 3 lessons. Lesson 1 unit or lesson are one and the same. Unit 1 is what is public relations? It means definition, meanings, etc. about public relations, an introduction. And unit 2, that is lesson 2, deals with elements of public relations, the key elements of public relations, practice as such. Lesson 3 is public relations, publics. Who are the publics for practicing public relations? What is about public opinion and how it works in a democracy? And in block 2, it deals with models, stages, and tools of public relations. And it has 3 lessons, lesson 4, lesson 5, and lesson 6. Lesson 4 is about public relations models. What are all the models of public relations practice? And lesson 5 deals with stages of public relations process, because it is a process. And lesson 6 is about tools of media of public relations. Similarly, in block 3, it is about public relations management. It has 2 units, that is 2 lessons. Lesson number 7 is public relations as a strategic management function. And unit number 8, that is lesson number 8, is how to be a good PR manager. There will be some techniques given for the public relations practitioners, how a good PR manager to be and behave. Block 5 is about public relations practice. It has 2 units, that is 2 lessons. Lesson number 9 is about in-house and PR agencies. That is in-house public relations department that is within the organization, and PR agencies that are externally sourced. And Unit 10 deals with digital public relations, that is PR 2.0. It is called PR 2.0. We call it digital public relations. And the block 5 is about public relations in India, the origin. Unit number 11 deals with the history, origin of Indian public relations in Indian conditions. And unit number 12 is public relations practice in government organizations. Of course, NGOs, private organizations, corporate public sector, etc. And Denny Griswold, he's a name in public relations practice. He said, public relations is a management function which evaluates public attitudes, identifies the policies and procedures of an individual or an organization with public interest, and executes a program of action to earn understanding and acceptance. This definition may look difficult for you to understand and comprehend, but there are other definitions which are simpler than this. By that, you can easily understand what a public relations practice is. Now, let us go to lesson number 1 in block number 1. Public relations is simply stated, public relations is a daily application of common sense, common courtesy, and common etiquette. This public relations is not, now it is a management function. Now it has been developed as both an art and a science. But simply stated, it is a daily application of common sense, stripped to its originality. And this public relations is a quality inherent in every human being. And very simply stated, when somebody comes to your office, when somebody comes to your place, when somebody visits your home, the first thing you do is you greet them, you smile at them, you shake hands with them, and you will be asking them to sit comfortably, and you will offer some water, and you will put on a fan so that they sit comfortably. These are the simple things at the basic level of public relations. This is the basic beginning. Opening the car door, seeing them off, receiving, sending off. These are all part of practice of public relations. This is the beginning, and from here, it has no end. It has a place in the boardroom. What is boardroom? Boardroom in any organization is a decision-making place. So from this level, from the lowest to the highest, a public relations practitioner or a public relations manager, you call it by any name, PRO or PR manager or whatever it is, he has a role to play in the management. Therefore, public relations is said to be a management function. It is not just a management function. It is a specialized management function. It is a unique management function. It is a strategic management function. Are you hearing? Am I audible? Can anybody respond? Anybody listening? If anybody is listening, please confirm whether it is audible. No doubt it is being recorded and it is going live. But there are about 5 participants, including me and Open University. 3 must be participants, I mean students. Can anybody confirm that you are able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. Then, unit number 1. What is public relations? It contains the objectives, the introduction, public relations definitions, public relations elements, the nature, functions, and scope of public relations. Public relations as distinct from propaganda. You might have heard about propaganda. You might have heard about publicity. Of course, you are now dealing with public relations. But there are certain other things generally people will mistake as one and the same. But there is a lot of difference between public relations and propaganda. public relations and publicity, public relations and advertising, public relations and public affairs, public relations and lobbying, and public relations and certain other things which are similar to public. People generally believe that they are one and the same, but they are not. But there is a difference between public relations practice, because public relations practice is based on the truth and the facts. It is always an ethical kind of public relations. In advertising, there may not be ethics, because in advertising you will see they say something, but the result will be some other thing. They promise some other thing, some magic remedies, but it may not be so. But that is an advertising. Its nature is to draw the attention. The very meaning of advertising is to draw the attention of the onlookers, or the readers, or the viewers, or the listeners. It is only to draw the attention and then give them some kind of information. And it is left to the user discretion. Whether you want to use it, use it. Whether you don't want to use it, don't bother. So that is the kind of advertising. That is the nature of advertisement. Advertising is as such. It is only to draw attention and give some kind of information. There may not be, it is only a srujanatmakata. Some creativity will be there in advertising. But in public relations practice, it is always telling the facts, presentation of truths, and ethics is more important in the practice of public relations. Now, the objectives of this study is, after you listen and read this unit, you will be defining public relations and bring out its various functions. What are the functions of public relations that you are going to understand? Then, what are the key elements? Then explain what is public relations as distinct from other communication functions such as propaganda, publicity, public affairs, lobbying, advertising, as I told you. And describe the nature and purpose of public relations in a democratic country, and describe how public relations can bring about mutual understanding through strategic communication. If you go through the definitions of public relations, all definitions will be coming to one conclusion, that public relations is a practice. It is a practice to maintain mutual understanding between the organization and the connected public. Now, every organization has numerous public. Is it wrong to say publics? Generally, we say public, but it is not wrong to say publics also, because in public relations practice, the public is not general public. The general public is a myth in the public relations practice, because the public relations practitioners cannot maintain relations with the general public, but they have a specified public, a segmented public, a targeted public. Only with that public only the public relations department or public relations practitioners of the organization will have to deal with. So suppose RTC is there. Their public is the commuters, the people who take bus for traveling. Their targeted people are not the people who travel by flight. Their targeted people is not the people who travel by their own cars. So their targeted public is the public of a class in the society, or a community, or a segment, which travel by bus only, or travel by train alternatively. Supposing there is a school, who are the targeted public of that particular school? Not the general public. The parent community is the targeted public. For example, a hospital, corporate hospital is there. Who are the targeted public? Who are the segmented public? Who are the public connected or concerned for that particular hospital? It is always patients and their attendants. Who are the targeted public for Metro Water Supply Board? The public are the Metro Water users. So likewise, for any organization or for any utility or any government department, there shall be a segmented public. Therefore, public is very important for the public relations practice. Here, The public is again divided vertically. The one segment is internal public and the other segment is external public. Internal public are the employees, officers, and others concerned who work for the organization. They are called internal public. And the external public or the public connected with the organization. They may be shareholders, they can be stakeholders, they can be the users. They have some connection with the organization. Those people are segmented as external public, broadly, vertically, internal public and external public. Now the public has been identified. They are called specialized public, targeted public, segmented public, and in this public, vertically, internal public and external public. What for you need segmentation of public? This segmentation of public is very much necessary in order to communicate with them. You wanted to tell about the organization. You wanted to tell something to your internal public, something. The same thing cannot be told to the external public. Of course, whatever you wanted to tell to the external public may also be necessary for the internal public. Supposing for a metro water board is there, Hyderabad Metro Water Supply and Sewerage Board, for example, take for example. If any information about the water, the supply of water or the repair of pipelines or the no water or more water during festivals, this information will have to go to both internal public and external public, the consumers. So that these people, internal people, will act accordingly. The external people, that is consumers of water, Hyderabad Metro Water, will come to know about the timings of the water supply, etc., etc. Suppose some kind of information is needed to be given only to the internal people. That internal communication is not necessary for the external people. So therefore, it is very important for an organization and especially the PR department in the organization to have an idea about who are my public. Who are my public? General public is a myth in the practice of public relation. I already told you. We have to identify who are the public. Then only we can communicate. You have to tailor make your communication according to the target, according to the public, according to the segmented public, I mean to say. So every organization has numerous public. Public can be divided broadly into two categories, that is internal and external. And the most obvious public or the targeted audience for the customer or even sometimes prospective customers. Customer is existing customer. Prospective customer is the customer who is going to become the customer. So for them also, we have to keep, for expansion of anything, for any business, we have to any company, any organization will keep in mind the prospective customers. To buy the prospective customer is to expand the business. So this is about publics. And if you look at the definitions of public relations, so there are several definitions, and we have already looked into the definition of the Dennis Griswold, who is the publisher of public relations news in America some time back. But importantly, two definitions will have to be memorized. Being a public relations student or the future public relations practitioner, two definitions are important. That is one, the British definition of public relations, and the other one is American definition of public relations. Of course, Indian definitions are also there, but they are not different from these two definitions. For example, the CIPR, that is called British Institute of Public Relations or Chartered Institute of Public Relations, headquartered in London, sometime back they defined public relations is the planned and sustained effort to establish and maintain goodwill and mutual understanding between an organization and its publics. Very simple. I will explain each and every word involved in this definition. Public relations with the public. So that is called public relations. It is a planned, it is not unplanned. It must be planned beforehand. It is a planned and sustained effort. This is not a loose effort, but a sustained effort. Mindfully, you have to make efforts. Efforts for what? To establish and maintain goodwill and mutual understanding. To maintain, to establish and maintain. First, we have to establish and then maintain goodwill and mutual understanding between an organization and its publics. Goodwill and mutual understanding to be established and maintained forever. This is the meaning of the definition. And Public Relations Society of America, they defined public relations as public relations helps an organization and its publics to adopt mutually to each other. Public relations is an organization's effort to win the cooperation of groups of people. Public relations helps organizations effectively interact and communicate with their key publics. These are the two definitions, important definitions. And one is British definition, other one is American definitions. The editor of Public Relations Voice, Dr. C.V. Narasimha Reddy, we take it his definition as Indian definition. He said, effective public relations and media, in his book, Effective Public Relations Media Strategy, he said, the management of a two-way communication process between an organization and its publics to promote the corporate mission, services, products, reputation, and gain public understanding is public relations. So after seeing these three definitions, it must be very clear to us that there is an organization and this organization needs to be in the public. They should make their activities, that means their products and services, made known to the public. Then what it has to do is it has to have a PR department or a public relations wing or public relations officers, public relations managers, and their duty is to give some kind of information. What is that some kind of information? The information needed by the targeted public about the organization. So this is dissemination of information. That means giving out the information of the organization to the public concerned. That is one way. And the other way is, as a feedback, this public relations department will take the opinion, impression of the people, that is targeted people, back to the organization. Therefore, a public relations man is said to be both a mouthpiece and an antenna of an organization. Mouthpiece means megaphone or something. It goes out. And antenna means antenna receives the information from outside. So it is a two-way communication process. It means public relations is a two-way process of communication. It means giving out information, that is called dissemination of information, feed forward, in other words, and taking back the information, that is antenna. The duty of an antenna, it receives the feedback from the targeted public. So the definition is based on 6 basic elements. These 3 definitions so far we have dealt with, they are based on 6 elements, basic elements. One is organization. The number 2 is corporate mission, corporate services, corporate products. Any organization, a marketable commodity is either a product or a service. These are the marketable things in the economy. You just think of any organization. Will government do manufacture anything? No commodity. It is only service. But there are certain other organizations, maybe under private sector, they manufacture goods, electrical implements, or some tiles, or food is processed, everything, whatever it is. So either the product, that is goods, or the service, or sometimes idea also, these are all the marketable things. So it means in order to tell these things to the targeted public, there must be a communication mechanism within the organization. That itself is the public relations procedure. And the other key element is of practicing public relations is the public, that is internal and public and external, as we already dealt. And then the management, a two-way communication process. There must be a system established. What is the system established for communicating two-way communication process? There must be either meetings or discussions or newsletter or circulars or newspaper advertising or radio advertising or television telecast. It can be in any format, but there must be some kind of communication from the organization to the concerned public, and there must be some mechanism to have the feedback. This is two-way process, and this has to be done by the public relations department. Now, what are the key elements of public relations? Let us quickly go through. It is a profession. Public relations is a profession. What are the characteristics of a profession? A profession is to be practiced daily. A doctor is called a professional. A lawyer is called a professional. A public relations practitioner is also called a professional. Because profession requires updating on daily basis. Can you imagine a doctor after studying his MBBS, after he will keep away from the medical practice for 5 years and comes back to the profession? Can he prescribe medicine? Can he diagnose ailments? It is not possible. Therefore, a profession means it has to be practiced on daily basis, and the knowledge is to be updated on daily basis. Therefore, public relations, or for that matter, journalism, even journalist will have, he should be in the field continuously. If he doesn't write articles for some time, he will forget how to write. If he doesn't read what is happening around the world, in the state, locality, what is happening around, he cannot write because he will not have inputs. So daily reading, daily writing will have to be there. Then only it is media profession. Similarly, for PR practitioners, he has to update himself. He has to have a professional qualification and updation on a daily basis. Then public, we have already, one of the other element is public. We have already dealt what are the public, targeted public, concerned public, segmented public, interested public, and they have been divided into two, that is internal and external. And managing. Public relations is called both an art and a science. What is the characteristic of an art and what is science? An art can be improved upon each time you perform. By performing repeatedly, you can improve upon. Therefore, a public relations practice is called an art. And it is also called a science, because what is the characteristic of a science? A science is each time you give the same inputs, the result shall be the same. Just like mathematics, 2 into 2, 2 into 4. The result will be same, 4 into 2 or 2 into 4, 2 into 2 or 2 into 2, whatever it is. Similarly, in an experiment, if you give the same inputs, the result will be same. They again repeat the same thing, the same inputs, same throughputs, the result shall be the same. The exactness, the perfectness. That is the crux of science. Therefore, public relations practice is both an art because it can be practiced and improved upon, and a science because the result will be precise, perfect. Therefore, public relations is called an art and a science. Then, mass media. It is one of the key elements involved in the practice of public relations. What is media? The plural of medium. Medium means medium of communication. And such medium put together, the plural is called media. Suppose a newspaper is a medium of communication. It is a mass medium of communication. Radio is an audial medium of communication. Audial, because you listen. Radio is audio medium of communication. It is also a mass medium of communication, but electronic media of communication. And then television. Television is audio visual medium of communication. It is electronic communication and it is a mass communication. Therefore, you have newspaper, that is print, and electronic. Print means newspaper, electronic means radio and television. You have already dealt with in your course, the journalism. But still, for public relations practice, also the same things are required as tools. So mass media means, supposing I am talking to you. What is this kind of communication? This is direct, interpersonal, oral communication. Direct, interpersonal, oral communication. Suppose there is some lesson in your textbook. What is that? That is written communication. You are listening to me. Also, audio and visual. So these are all the forms how you have to identify what kind of communication I am receiving right now. Supposing you are thinking within yourself, that is intrapersonal communication. Suppose you are talking to your colleague or a batchmate, you'll be talking. That is interpersonal communication. These are all the modes of communication you might have already studied. But for PR practice also, these things are important. How we are going to communicate, whether to one person or to a group of person or to mass people, through what medium? Through what medium? Whether we are going to give them the communication through the newspaper or the circular or the brochure or an annual report or through a radio or radio jingle or radio advertisement or television, if it is a talk, if it is an interview, so what is the mode of communication you are going to, through which you are going to disseminate the information? Dissemination is nothing but giving out the information, trying to give out the information to the targeted public, not the general public. So for that, you have to select the media. That is called selection of medium of communication. Sometimes there can be a mix of media, that is media mix for communicate, so that you can reach your targeted public. You should not waste your communication by giving it to everybody. You have a targeted public and try to reach them. And in order to reach them, you have to select which mode of communication is convenient to you, which is cheaper to the organization, which is easier for communication. These are all the things to be kept in mind. Then advertising. Advertising and public relations and publicity will also discuss during the course of the lesson and the next lesson also. Lobbying, similarly, public relations is different from lobbying. Lobbying is something like brokering. In Indian conditions, lobbying is not permitted, but in Western countries and Europe and America, it is a profession, it is a licensed profession, legally permitted profession. But in India, lobbying is not permitted, but pressure groups are there. But pressure groups also do the same thing, lobbying, but lobbying as such is not a permitted one. It is not legally permitted in Indian scenario. And then news, information about the current events, accidental, incidental, or planned, paid media, whatever, paid news or advertorials, editorials, proprietorials. These are all the things you will come across. Then publicity. Advertising is drawing attention. Propaganda is to propagate certain things, right or wrong, true or false, whatever it is. And then publicity is also a kind of dissemination of purposefully planned event. Supposing in your organization, if you are working or if you are still studying your college, a minister will come, or director of school education, or director of commissioner of collegiate education, or secretary of board of intermediate education, whatever, whoever he is, or the minister concerned, or the MLA is coming to your education institution, or MLA is coming to your organization. Then what the organization will do? The organization, either the management or directly or through the public relations wing, will notify the same thing to the press. Press means what? General term is press. Press means newspapers, radio, television, and other social media tools also. This you will be informing to the entire media about the event. So and so is coming. So please come, attend, and cover the event. This is the request simply you will make. It is not a paid form. You are not paying for it. You will only communicate. You will only inform the media, print and electronic media, about the event that is going to happen. So then at the event, the media will come and cover it and print it in the newspaper, put it in the radio and cover it in the television. Then you got the publicity. That is called publicity. It is not paid for. Whereas advertising is a paid medium of communication. There is an agency. The space is bought, column centimeter space is bought for the advertising you are going, for the text you are going to print. Newspapers will charge. The agency, advertising agency will take the commission. And if it is through radio, a time slot is taken. For that, the organization will have to pay. The ad agency will collect some commission. And if it is a television, it must be a commercial advertisement. It can be a commercial advertisement. And for that also, the organization will pay for it. And the agency will get some kind of communication. Here, for the newspaper, for the radio, for the television, put together or standalone, you are paying, and also you are paying some commission to the advertising agency. This is a paid form. Whereas in the publicity, you will only invite the media, they will come and cover it. Here it is free. So publicity is free, advertisement is cost. This is the difference between advertising and publicity. Whereas lobbying is doing some brokerage work, getting the things done by hook or crook, influencing the officers in the government department, influencing the lawmakers. It is called lobbying. Then propaganda, I told you, propaganda is nothing but propagating a thing, need not be a truth. It is generally, propaganda is associated with three things. The number one is politics. Therefore, we call it political propaganda. They make number of promises through their manifesto, through their agenda. We will implement this, we will implement that. The political parties, before the elections, through their manifesto, they promise several things to the people. But we are not sure whether they can implement, whether they can pass on the benefits at least 20 or 30% or 50%. Because there is no truth, because there is no ethics. Ethics means after promising it, they will have to be fulfilled. Because they are not going to fulfill, then there is no truth. Therefore, this is called political propaganda. The aim is only to propagate the things, publicize the things. Then another thing where propaganda is associated is religious propaganda. In every religion will boast of several things. You come and convert into our religion. In our religion, our God will take you directly to heaven after your death, or you will get so much of peace of mind. And every religion will promise so many things. But is it correct? Is it a perceivable thing? No religion is based on reasoning. It is something written and somebody propagates it. And therefore religious propagation is called religious propaganda. So first thing is political propaganda. The second one is religious propaganda. And the third one is war propaganda. Propaganda is associated generally with these three things. What is war propaganda? During the wars, a nation claims that our enemy so and so, we have collapsed so much of helicopters, we have damaged their airport. This side army will claim something, and that side in war or battle, if one or two countries are involved, this country claims that they have killed the army of the other country, and these people claim. And best thing you can perceive is German during the Second World War, the Führer Hitler, Goebbels, his information minister and defense minister, Goebbels. Therefore, we call it Goebbels Prachar, Goebbels propaganda. That is nothing but war propaganda. He has claimed that even though the Ali countries bombarded the capital of Germany during the Second World War, this Goebbels claimed that we have not lost anything. In fact, we have fired at so many aeroplanes, so many war fighters, jet fighters of their enemies, and all these things. He used to tell the world about all these things. So this is nothing but war propaganda. So in propaganda, there will not be any truth. It is only propagating the false things. Then media relations is one of the key elements in public relations practice. Why journalists are taken as public relations practitioners, PROs of chief minister or any minister, or even today the DGP or Commissioner of Police of Hyderabad, they take senior journalists as PROs. It is because their notion is a media man, a journalist, can get the news of the organization or the meetings covered in the newspapers. Therefore, public relations synonymously is called media relations, but public relations is a common term. It's an umbrella term under which several things fall. And media relations is one among the public relations practices, like financial relations, government relations, customer relations, community relations. Several relations are practiced, and media relations is one among the such practices. Therefore, public relations term is an umbrella term under which several things fall. Then I told you community relations is also one of the elements. Why community relations? Because every organization will have to maintain community relations in order to practice corporate social responsibility. And corporate social responsibility is necessary because they need social audit in order to survive and in order to get the approval of the government for several of their ventures. So these are all the key elements. Now look at the nature, functions, and the scope of public relations in a democratic country. Public relations, as I told you, it is a process. It serves a number of functions because it is a management functions. It is a management function. It is a strategic management function. It is a specialized management function. It is a unique management function because management functions are different. There are many functions for the management: material management, man management, that management, this management, every management. But public relations practice is a distinct management function. Then you look at the you look at if you look at the various elements involved in public relations practice, as we already dealt with the propaganda in the key elements itself, we have covered it and try to make out the difference between PR and propaganda, try to differentiate between PR and publicity, and then PR and advertising, PR and public affairs, PR and lobbying. These are all slightly different, but all fall under the umbrella of public relations practice. This is all about the first lesson. And if you go to the next lesson, that is elements of public relations. In the first lesson, we dealt with the introduction of public relations. And in the second lesson, let us see apart from key elements, what are all the other elements in the practice of public relations. Now, organization. As we already discussed, organization, public are the elements of public relations practice. Now, the organization, the concept of organization. What is an organization? It comes from the word organ or oregon. Organization means anything is an organization. There must be a hierarchy. There must be a management. There is a hierarchy. There are the superiors. There are subordinates. There must be a command, and that command must percolate to the down to the lower rung. And an organization is a physical thing. It exists within the organization. It is not a virtual thing. It is a physical thing. That is called corporation, organization. In government departments, there is organization. In corporate public sector undertakings, there is an organization. All these called organization is not only a physical thing, but is also a concept of managing the things. An organization is defined by the elements that are part of it, to who belongs to the organization and who does not belong to the organization. It has to be defined. And the communication, how the communication will have to pass through the organization, whether horizontally or vertically, from top to bottom or bottom to top, these are all defined in an organization. Communication flow of information is defined, and how autonomous it is, whether it is under a government department or it is autonomous. Suppose university, for namesake, they are called autonomous bodies. They have their board of management, but still they are placed under ministry, department of higher education, some minister or the senior IAS officer, because state universities are placed under state government, central universities are placed under central government. So in an organization, the leadership is important in an organization. That is formal hierarchy, and who appoints the managerial to different managerial positions. These are all discussed in an organization. So leadership in formal and informal organizations also has been defined, and you'll be. I think you are already aware what is organization. You just imagine your own university or your own college or even your own family. There must be a hierarchy, there must be a command, and the communication must pass through different channels, either from the father to the children or the feedback from children to the father. These are all the information management. Then again, the element, again repeated here, the element of public. Public relations and public are inseparable, because who are the public? The word public is derived from puberty. Whoever is a male or female that has attained some kind of maturity in the mind, physical maturity and mental maturity, they are called public. Children are not included generally. And then relations with the public means only with such public the relations are maintained. Therefore, in the practice of public relations, the public is very much important. Without public, there is no practice of public relations. In the absence of public, with whom you are going to practice public relations? This is the main question. Who are the publics is the next question. You have to identify them, as already told. Without public, there cannot be any public relations. What does the term public mean? To lump together 1,300 million of India under the umbrella term of public is to misconstrue and oversimplify the term. The entire population of the country is not your public as far as your practice of public relations is concerned. You have your own public. They are called targeted public. I repeat. So public are the important element in the practice of public relations. Then another element is corporate mission. Corporate mission, corporate objectives, corporate vision. These are all the things every corporate or an organization. Sometimes we call it corporate organization, corporation, corporate body, or simply corporates. These are all the names given to the organizations. So corporate mission is the mission statement every organization will have, so that they'll be following the same mission as to how they have to proceed. Just for example, social welfare department is there. What is their objective, corporate vision or mission? They wanted to uplift the socially backward community in the society, or they may want to provide education to the children of socially backward community. So this must be their mission or vision or objectives. Therefore, every organization will definitely have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 10 objectives, and they will have a mission statement. And mission statement is for the present, and vision is for the future. So therefore, we separate them as objectives, what to do, corporate mission, what should be done, and corporate vision, what should be done in the future, and what will be the come out if we do all these things, because these three are generally important. But sometimes in the government departments, corporate vision mission may not be there, but definitely a department, every organization, if it is service oriented organizations or service oriented government departments, they will have only objectives. This department has the objective. What is the objective of the police department? To maintain law and order. What is the objective of the electricity department? To ensure supply of electricity 24 by 7, a quality of power without interruptions, without surges, without breakouts. This is their objective. And what is the objective of GHMC? GHMC objectives must be to give its citizens, by collecting the tax for its maintenance, to lay roads, to maintain streets, to maintain street lights, and to get the streets cleaned every day, remove the garbage. These are all, and disinfect the streets, and give the children quite often the vaccines. Umpteen number of objectives may be there for GHMC. For example, every organization, if it is a government, or every corporate body, if it is in the private sector, will have some kind of objective, vision, and mission in order to proceed and fulfill their objectives. Then, public relations involves another key element that is called two-way communication process. There are two things: two-step flow of information and two-way process of communication. Don't get confused between these two things. One is two-step flow of information. How information will flow? Generally, from the source to the information leaders. They are also called opinion leaders. The information will come from the source to the information leaders or opinion leaders in the first instance. And from that first step, it will go to the second step. Those people are called information dependents. So from source to the information leaders or opinion leaders, that is one step. And from there to the information dependents, that is general public. Just imagine, your teacher is information leader. Your teacher is information leader. And you are information dependent, because they have some information. They got it from a source, maybe by their knowledge, by their updating, by reading the books according to the syllabus. They are called the first step. And from there, the second step is their knowledge is imparted. The knowledge is flown to the student community. That is called second step. That is two-step flow of information. If you have ever seen a village, or in a village, you can imagine that a village leader, or a tractor driver, or a teacher, or a postman, or a college going student, or a bangle seller, or a cloth seller, or any hawker is information leader, because they get information from the source, and from them that will be passed on to the villagers. That is village scenario. Even in the urban areas, where from you get information? Maybe because you have social media, you have electronic media, you have mass media, you'll be getting information on your own. But sometimes some kind of information You will not be available through the media, the regular media, but information will come through the local leaders, the local volunteers, the service, the GHMC announcements, the electricity announcements. You pay the bill by this time, otherwise the power will be cut off. And there will be some kind of announcement about the GHMC to pay the property tax regularly and regularize your constructions or land portions, whatever it is. So information flows into two steps. That is from source to the first step, that is information dependence or information leaders, and from there to the information leaders to information dependence. And now here it is two-way communication process. Public relations is always a two-way process of communication. This PR philosophy places great emphasis on the need for two-way communication because information is oxygen for any communication. What is that you are going to give? Information is static, to be very precise. Sometimes people get confused what is information and what is communication. Sometimes synonymously, they are used alternatively also. Information, people generally think information and communication are one and the same. But being a journalism student, or being a student of public relations, it has to be clarified. You must be very clear. Information is information that is static. You have information in your knowledge. You have information in the textbook. You have information in the computer hard disk. You have information in the removable device, maybe floppy or diskette or pen drive, whatever it is. You have your information in your cell phone stored. So information stored as it is in one medium is called information because that is static. And what is communication? When it is moved from one place to the other place, if the information is moved from one place to the other place, it becomes a communication. And in public relations practice, the communication ought to be a two-way process. It is not just like radio, you give out and you forget. And maybe after some time, there may be some kind of letters to the editor, letter to the radio station director. So that is not the kind of thing here. The feedback must be as important as the feed forward. Feed forward means giving out the information. Feedback means taking back the information. So if this feed forward and feedback is on the same footings, on the same levels, then communication becomes effective. This is called effective communication. If there is more feedback, the communication ought to be more effective. It is to be understood. Therefore, two-way communication process in public relations is a very important element. And then public interest is another element in public relations practice. What is public interest? You might have heard public interest advertising, public interest litigation, that and this. Some advertisements, they don't publicize themselves, but somewhere at the end, it will be there or it may not be there. But the information advertised either through the hoardings or through the newspaper advertisements or radio advertisement or a television advertisement or social media advertisement, the corporates or governments, of course, identify themselves. The corporates will not tell you about their source. They will just say it in the interest of the public. Then it is called public interest advertisement. So public interest is very important because that is performed in good faith for a good cause, not for immediate results. Whereas in advertising, they advertise in order to seek response and the instant sales or instant availment of services, sale of goods. That is advertising. But in public interest advertising, it is not so, not in the interest. It is keeping in mind the overall objective of gaining the public opinion, favorable public opinion, favorable goodwill of the public, and and in order to earn the corporate identity, corporate image, certain other things. So this is public interest. This is another element in the practice of public relations. And sustained effort, objectives, goodwill, and mutual understanding. These are all the important elements in the practice of public relations. Now, it must be clear for you about public relations, what it is, who are the public, and other things. And in the next class, we'll be dealing about public relations and public opinion and how important is public opinion in a democratic setup of any country. Now, what is the time now? It is over. Anyway, one or two questions if you are interested. I am ready to answer, clarify your doubts. Any questions? Is it clear? Somebody should respond. Is our discussion clear today? Dear participants, students, somebody to respond, either text or voice. Somebody at the console in the university. Can we conclude? There are 5 participants. Okay, then let us end it here. In the next class, we will catch up with the unit number 3, that is public relations, public and public opinion. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much. Good day.